All right. Welcome. This is post last circuit stream episode 91. Alex decided to duck out, and I've got with me tonight, I have Kenny, as he goes by, referred to on Discord, also known as Jared.
Hi
Kenny, how's
there.
it going?
It's going pretty good. How about yourself, Will?
Oh, just enjoying another Tuesday night talking to the people. Just going to make
Fair
sure that
enough.
everything is getting out to the correct locations. Looks like we have the link is getting shared around. Awesome. All right. So, how are things, Kenny?
Things are good.
Yeah.
Things are really good.
Sound is good. Thanks, Alex. So Alex is out, but he's kind of just doing some stuff. Wasn't able to make it sit down tonight, but we were able to get Kenny and possibly Joey. We're not sure where Joey is. He should be on his way. But Kenny is one of the new HCG employees.
Just
Officially, you got your email address now, so you can
yep. Officially,
reach.
you can spam my email at jared@hauntedcastle.com or hauntedcastlegaming.com, sorry.
Nice.
Or if you've got any ideas for development on Geo or anything, please hit me up. I
Yes.
don't have enough on my completely full table right now.
So Geo's your main area, right? Like that's what you're going to be focusing on.
Very much so, yeah.
And so you were there at the circuit. You got to witness Geo being used from, you've seen Geo as far as like playing it, like Heads or Tails or Dragon's World before. But the circuit, I saw you sort of getting, talking with Shahan and Alex there, talking about some stuff. Like, what did you see without getting like into too many details? But what did you do? Like, what kind of things did you see or witness with Geo, and do you think you can fix them?
Yeah, so I've never previously gotten the chance to really experience the event organizer side of Geo.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw the circuit as a great opportunity to do that. And I got to witness all the little tiny annoyances that an organizer or a judge has to deal with, even just entering a score. And I got to sit there and talk with Colette, with Alex, with Shahan, with anyone I could really to
Nice.
come up with any improvement ideas that they could think of, anything they know that's breaking. I know one specific thing that has been an ongoing issue and is going to be my primary focus going forward has been issues with tiebreakers and how people are being positioned in the event.
Okay.
As an example, in the Dragon World event, we ended up with two seventh place finishers, which was fine for top eight cut because they would both end up there, but that needs to be resolved.
Yeah,
And
I think that's been a thing that's happened a few times, right? Like it seems to double up. It doesn't actually assign a val. Like it seemed for me like they were assigning like a place in Geo, like a spot, say a numbered spot would only be could have more than one person in that spot, right? So you could have three people that are all, second place,
mhm,
right? But then what that did was then it didn't mean that it meant that all those three people were one person for like the placings, right? So it seemed like it was just sort of it wasn't kicking people down, being like, hey, no, you are actually second, you are actually third, even though you have the different scores.
yeah, that's pretty much exactly what's been happening. And luckily, I do know the cause of it,
Nice.
so
Awesome.
hopefully it won't take too long to fix. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, because I just jinxed that. But
But I mean, okay, some of the good things were that like the software was able, it is sort of it's fairly intuitive software as far as like you know what to click and what not to do. You can fill in the boxes, right? Fill in the forms. You can get in there and you can see sort of what what events are going on. You can follow along if an event is live. But it
yeah,
just seemed sort of like the results side was a little bit um, skewed, or there was things that are going on in the background that just seem to not be working. Is that sort of
yeah,
a simplification?
that's pretty much the case. Like the software itself is great. Like there's so many amazing things about it. There's just one, two, or just a handful of issues that are really noticeable and really cause the majority of complaints.
Nice. So you think you're going to be able to tackle those soon?
That is my goal. I already have a couple of them fixed. I'm just waiting
Ooh,
on being able to push them out to live after doing some testing.
nice, awesome. And then what about like future plans? What do you think? What do you think we could see down the road?
So, future plans down the road. Not sure how many things I want to get into here, but I
That's
do have
fair. That's
a
fair.
very long list. One thing that will be very interesting for you and for anyone who's in Future League or the Judge program is I'm hoping to push out a Future League version of Geo where we can
Ooh,
experiment with different modifications to the software, see how they will impact event running, and see if they're helpful.
nice, awesome. That's good. I think I was always a big backer and supporter of having you come on because from what I had talked to you at Heads or Tails, like you knew your stuff. You were in
Mhm.
school for similar things, and you were definitely passionate about about Genesis. So I was like, yeah, this just makes sense just to make sure, just to have someone passionate about the game, the project, knows their stuff, wants to do this. So I'm really excited for you. So
Thank you. And I think you're definitely probably a big reason of why I got this job. So thank you very much, Will.
well, we're not sure. But anyways, let's move on. All right, so we just had our last circuit. Have you been following many of the circuits, or?
I followed the ones I went to.
That's fair. That's fair. There's a lot of them, and some of them were at very different times of night, depending on where the locations were. But we had a bunch of successful circuits have finished. We have a whole bunch of people now who are now qualified for the for the championship. I'm sure invitations are getting compiled and double checking, making sure we don't miss anybody because that would be the worst. So it's going to be really exciting. We are in October and the championship is November 19th. So we're just over 2 months away from that. Are you planning on heading out and attending that?
Oh, for sure. I've gotten my ticket a couple times now, so I am aiming for the top if I can get it.
Nice. Yeah, and for those who don't know or who are watching and unsure or weren't quite sure how it all works, basically, if you received a spot from last championship or one of the circuits this year, or the qualifier at Gen Con, you get one spot. And once you have that spot, any other circuits you attend, your spot falls down to the next person in line. And it goes from the top of the list all the way down to the bottom. So if first, second, third, fourth of a circuit already have their spots, then that four chunk would all shift down to the next people in line and so on and so forth. So depending, even if you didn't make the top 8 in some of the later circuits, there's good chance that you already have an invitation coming to you as well because a lot of people may have been already qualified. So some people were definitely excited about that, like they're excited that they get the invitation. But I hear there's going to be a lot of kind of open events, like the actual main event, the championship event will be for the invitations only. But there'll be side events. There'll be a big bash. 2 days this time too. Are
It's gonna
you
be huge.
driving up every day, or do you have any plans yet? Or
Uh, I'm not sure. I might be able to get a hotel room this time around.
nice, that's gonna be good.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I haven't decided what. It's just like it's just that far away, right? Like
Yeah,
for us, like
it's
it's
like
like
an hour and a half,
yeah, hour
depending
and a
on
half.
traffic.
Saturday morning, Sunday morning, not too bad.
Hmm.
Um, I'm on the fence what my plans are, but it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see.
it really depends. Like if you're going out to the event to participate and you're gonna do both days, you're gonna be so completely done by the
Tired.
end of day one. You're
Oh,
gonna need to avoid that drive.
I was so other circuits at the beginning of the year I was judging, right? I wasn't really participating. And
Mhm,
judging is very easy compared to the actual participating because I don't have to make 100 decisions every game to try to figure out my way to winning. I was feeling it on Sunday. Like I was like feeling really good all the way through. The Swiss felt really good. Then we had the break
mhm.
for dinner. Then after dinner, the top 8, I just every game was like, oh, I'm so like I've played enough Genesis. I'm done. But it was still a good time. Anything exciting for you from your point of view on the circuit on Sunday that you saw?
Ooh, yes. That raffle that they ran there, that was such a cool idea. And I'm hoping we can see a lot more things like that. Like, I wish I had grabbed one of those hats. I ended up with a printing sheet,
There you
which
go.
is
A
cool
nice
in its
big
own right.
printing sheet.
I have a big heavy piece of metal to try and put on my wall without ripping the wall down now.
There you go. Nice. Yeah, I saw the hats. I was like, man, if I get called, I'm taking one of those hats because that's a lot smaller and can carry it around or whatever. But I don't really wear a hat. Do you wear a hat much?
Not really.
But
They
you could
I could,
if it
yeah.
was Genesis.
Obviously. If they had Genesis beanies, I'd be all over it.
All right, so we gotta give a big shout out. You already got a huge shout out in the Discord, but Jason Greenberg took first place with a fantastic run. He was pretty much undefeated all day. Well, he was undefeated all day. Um, and I'm not sure if he lost any game. I think he lost a few games in the actual like match pairings. But he did a terrific run. Idris finally won, which is exciting as well as a longtime Idris player. I think I was really excited just to have Idris have another chance at winning a circuit because we all know that champion is very strong, and it's just been just surreal sort of seeing how many times she's just come up just a little bit short. But unfortunately, I was on the other side of that where I wasn't losing, but I was happy for the Idris player, but it wasn't me running Idris. It was a very conflicting time, but super awesome to play Jason, very good friend of mine. And yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better matchup and a better opponent at that point. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Jason's an awesome guy, but I gotta say, he can we swear on here?
Sunday morning swears.
He can kick my butt all over the place when we're in Genesis. It's crazy.
Yeah, he is a fantastic player the way he plays. He definitely I heard rumored that he was thinking about not bringing the Idris. I'm pretty sure he's happy that he did because it was a fantastic, and he made some tweaks. I liked a couple of them. We might get into that a little bit later, but it was really interesting to see. So still no word from Joey, so we're just going to keep going through here.
All right.
Did you hear about the announcements for what we're now referring to as the beckoning?
The Beckon. Do you mean like the new blog post about what's going on in the championship? Or
Yeah. Well, they're calling the championship the beckoning now, I think, right? Like, let me pull it up here.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that up too.
So so Joey put out a post, very timely, right after the last circuit. Or not was it Joey or was it Sid? Oh no, it was Sid. That's Sid.
It's in Assad's ramblings.
So yeah, so we're calling it the, where do they put it here? The Days of Beckoning. I think I saw it somewhere. I don't not seeing it here now, but
I see it here. The Days of Beckoning will take place on November 19th and 20th.
There you go. See? That's how we work as a team. All right, so we had a bunch of spoilers here, so I'm just going to throw them up for everyone to see. So one of the first things they spoiled was the Malefic Impalement, which Jason got me the last game. It was the Swift Impalement in the corner of the arena. This is the full art version with the special Genesis Champion 2022 moniker on it. Looks like the bottom there says Championship 2023. Hopefully that didn't get printed. Alex, hopefully you're watching this and that didn't get printed that way. But it's got the actual, it's got the, so last year we had a couple of championship promos and they didn't necessarily say the championship right on it. They said it just in the bottom corner, right? But now it looks like we are actually getting Championship 2022 either stamped, printed, or in some form on top. But Malefic Impalement is a fantastic card. If you haven't tried it or you haven't run it yet, I strongly recommend playing it, even if you don't have an energy reduction because it's just such a strong card, and at the right time it can just put in a lot of work. Have you played with this card much? You play core, don't you?
I play core, however, I haven't tried this card, but I've had it used
Mm.
against me,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a killer. It is a killer for sure.
Nice. I don't know anything about that, James, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe it depends on the comment, but I I will look into it for you though. Heard rumors that Odara was doing things. That's JC. Odara made the top 8.
She did.
So
And
we should come back to that. We're on the promos, but let's keep with the promos here for a second. But going to look at the second one that's coming up for the championship, which was the Tsunami, a classic.
I do have to say, I absolutely love the change they made to the layout for these. Having moving the title up just so that they can put that branding right there.
Instead of
I think,
text, yep.
Yeah, I think that makes the championship cards even more unique, and it's just good change.
Sorry, Jay. You had $20 on me coming in second, or $20 coming in first? Because one way I lost money. Sorry. I apologize. I did my best. It was honestly, I watched it back. I definitely missed a huge moment, just late in the day, and yeah, I missed a huge mistake that was very like it was a subtle mistake, but it was big enough that it could have swayed the second game. But thanks for putting a hard $20 on me. Yeah, so the Malefic is also, you're right, now that you mentioned that, they've also they played with the spacing a little bit here, bumped it up. It does look like maybe they brought down the awareness grid. I don't know what happens when it gets cut, right? These are images. But yeah, Tsunami has been a big card this year. It's still a classic, and this is really love the new artwork on it. It's beautiful. Then they had some special. Those are the ones that come in when everyone comes out. They get the impalement. Each player participating in the championship gets the Tsunami. So even if you show up, right? You show up to the game, you're gonna get this impalement card, right? If you're playing, you show up, you get the impalement card, and you're playing for the championship, you get the Tsunami. Then they said, if you top 16, okay, so top 16, so you're playing for the championship the second day, you get an mint MNT alternate Iblis, which we know was the secret rare this time, right? Trying to find those. We had a bunch were pulled at heads or tails, a couple shifted hands.
Oh, glad to hear it. The promos have been fixed to say 2022.
Nice, good. That would be it kind of would be on par, but hey, at least they fixed it. They got it. They caught it this time. But this one is special because so it looks like what they've done is they've taken some of these promos, some of these alternates. Sid has signed them, and then they've got it sort of authenticated with the signature. So that's a really interesting way to do it, right? Sometimes, are you someone who likes their cards signed, or are you someone who likes their cards, in their original unaltered form?
I'm someone who is insane and wants to try to get both.
Okay. So here's a way to get one, and then if you have the other one, you've got both.
Actually, is this the same as the one that was already printed? Because I think this is different.
So, you know what? I think you could be right.
Because this says promo and it has the Iblis information on it. Isn't the secret rare just full
You are
art?
correct. This does have you're correct. The secret rare was only a full art, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this is completely unique, it looks like.
Yeah, so this is the text version with the promo insignia, but still with the champion symbol, and then it says promo on the bottom with the Origins Kickstarter. So this was something that was printed with the Origins Kickstarter, but not in the boxes. So that's a very good catch there,
Thank
not
you.
Kenny.
Bag. I think I finally earned Kenny.
And then I don't know, those, like, that's a lot of awesome prizes, right? But then the piece de resistance is this bolt shot sketch art, which, if they continue this trend of these sketches, we saw one with the Angel poster, and we've seen a couple now, black and white, what they're calling sketches for the Halloween promos. But they have this sketch version of the bolt art where the art is actually pulled back just a little bit, so you actually capture more of the archer that's in here. And this is the alpha art of the original bolt shot, and this card looks amazing.
It does.
Now you have to get top 8 to get this card, so that means that only 8 people are walking away with this 2022 championship identifier on it. So potentially that means
practicing.
That means there's only going to be 8 of these out there, right? So this is something that other games have done, and I'm all in favor of this move of having championship specific promos where the winners walk away with something that is, there is the prizing, there's the other things, but they also walk away with something unique to the game that represents that they were there, that they made it this far, and they get that prize. Are you a big? You're a collector, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to be.
For the most
one
part.
Of everything. That's my goal.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm a one of everything guy. I do have duplicates of a few things, but normally I'm a one of everything. I put in a binder, I put it away, I look at it a couple times, or I don't look at it at all, and then I just know it's there. But
I'm a bit different. I'm trying to get like one of every iteration of cards I really like, so I can get a shadow box. Really fill up my walls. Like, so far, I'm the closest with Death's Companion, but getting a pre-alpha is going to kill me.
Pre-alpha Death. Is there? I think there is a couple though that should be in those boxes, right?
There should be 3 out in the wild. I don't know if they've been opened, but they're somewhere.
Oh, all right. See you later, James. Hopefully, you'll download it while I'm at work. All right, sounds good. We'll try to make it the rest entertaining.
Have a good one.
Oh, he says he limits the 2 in house rules. Nice. Ooh. That makes sense. Limits the 2 tsunamis. That's an interesting topic. If anyone out there is watching, what house rules are people running? Because, yeah, that's sort of interesting. Like, playing groups might see, or might think some cards are really powerful, like Angels, Death's Companion, stuff like that. Maybe they limit those things in their play group. That's a really interesting thing. So,
I know personally in my play group, we want to do it a lot more casually. So really kind of overpowered meta cards like Angel of Retribution, we limit, you can only summon 1 at a time. You cannot have more than 1 on the board.
There cannot be more than 1. Do you get that reference?
No.
Okay. I'm old, everybody.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No, I wasn't expecting you to. All right, so that's some really cool promos. I'm really excited to hopefully try to get to top 8. That's usually my goal in most events, is get there. But I do have a Kickstarter box just at my work, just sitting there sealed. Maybe there's a pre-alpha in it. Sure, John.
Open it. Yeah. Open it now.
I think everyone who's holding on to those boxes, like, maybe there's a pre-alpha in here. Maybe there's a pre-alpha in this one. I opened 7 and got no pre-alpha, so I'm done opening Kickstarter boxes.
I opened 7, or I bought 8 with the intent of holding on to 4. I opened all 8. I was like, just one more. Nah, just one more.
Just one more. I was like, okay. I went away when the Kickstarter finally dropped, so I was actually able to go up north where North of Exile was and grab some boxes then. So that was a little bit extra boxes, and then I grabbed some more at Steve-O's, and I really wanted to get those secrets. In the end, I had to buy both of them and still open a whole bunch of boxes, but let's not talk about that.
Oh
Um,
well.
and now we have the retail version with all these oopsies. We put a bunch of promos in by accident, and so now I'm like, okay, well, how many boxes this time?
At least another 10.
Whoa, Kenny, I'm not the HCG employee with geo access here, so. Scheming Skeleton has rolled in, just
Ooh.
telling Steelford that Will K is a vast resource for Genesis and the best player I know. Oh, thanks. I also told him to drive a silver van and have a dad bod. Wow. Wow. I opened up 10 and got neither a secret rare. Wow. I can't believe I read that text out loud.
I mean, there were only what, 97, I think is the kind of accepted number.
Yeah,
Uh
something around there, wasn't there? Like
yeah,
just
yeah,
under 100 of them or whatever, but yeah.
yeah.
Crazy. Crazy. Did you end up getting them?
I did. I opened up a Zafar, and
Nice.
that was a really cool experience. But I actually traded that to further my Desk Companion collection.
Mmm.
I'd much prefer that. I do not want to collect all the foils. I mean, I would love to, but also I don't have $1 million. So
Okay, it doesn't take $1 million, but I mean, from J2, it was a little bit easier because there was so much hype around J2, and I was able to, capitalize on a whole bunch of boxes being opened, a whole bunch of hype, and everyone wanted to just sell their god packs away. So
Mhm.
I'm like you, like the Kickstarter boxes, I had to just say, it's not going to be possible.
The
I was
retail version I might try for, because that's like going on for a
ongoing,
long
right?
time, right?
Exactly. So that was my thinking, right? Because the Kickstarter boxes, I didn't know how many were going to get opened. I didn't know what the price point was going to be to buy more. Um,
Mhm.
I did get the full epic, like the full box topper epics completed. So
Nice.
I did want to do that. So
I think I'm missing 3 or 4 of them.
yeah,
I've got most of them.
there was one. Was it the same guy, Jordan? I don't think it was the same guy. I think he traded, didn't he? Or there's some story, but I think one of the Compete Sports, one of the Compete Sports people have two pre-alphas.
Dang.
Yeah, Steve was snatching. Yeah, I think Steve was. If you have any double duplicate foils, Steve, I think is still looking for. I think like 3 or 4 J2 foils. If anyone has extras, you can always reach out, ask him which ones he's missing. I have a list somewhere, but not on me.
Mhm.
Same
I
guy. Wow, the same guy opened 2 pre-alphas. He must be excited. Is that one of them was the Angel, right?
Oh, okay. I know this guy. He's got another cool idea. He's trying to get every version of the Angel,
Oof, that's
which
nice. Because there's some signed versions of the Angel as well out
oh yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Um,
There's like a solid 20 different versions if you include stamped and everything.
yes, yeah. There's a lot of those Angels.
Mhm.
I have. So I'm going for bolt shots and Cabas, but the Cabas is pretty easy because there's only 3 versions.
Yeah.
The bolt shots, I have one of every version except for the pre-alpha. So if anyone has a pre-alpha bolt shot, please, and wants to get rid of it, I am looking for that one.
He just got that tournament money, so
Oh yeah, did I? Not yet. It's
soon.
only Tuesday. Jeff's here. All right, stream's over,
Hey,
everybody. Thanks
all
for
right.
hanging
Have a
out.
good one, all. Thank you for coming out.
Jeff just ruined our stream.
Hey,
Hey,
Joey's here.
gonna try something because Kenny told me to. I'm gonna switch the zooms.
And it
It did nothing.
worked.
It didn't work,
What?
Joey.
Oh.
It's Kenny.
Oh man.
You
That's
screwed
so
me.
sad. I'm so just
What I did,
slide it
break it?
over. It'll work. A wild Joey has appeared.
I
Hello,
know.
Joey.
I know. Sorry, I was doing interviews for that my little content creator position. So,
Good. It's all good. We're just getting caught up. We're just talking to the chat. Went through all the promos for the championship, talking
We
about
do
how
have to
Kenny's
talk
going to
about
save the world.
Odara still.
What's that?
We do have to talk about Odara still.
All right, let's head there. Yeah, we can talk about Odara.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. I didn't get to see it because I was playing a lot. I
got to play against the Odara deck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It was run by, I think, Ben from Forbes.
Yes.
Who he was really skilled player. I was very surprised to see the Odara, and I will admit, I approached that table and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be an easy win." That was not an easy win. I did not win. I lost 2-0.
So let's see. So all the Dragon World Circuit decks are up. So you got my Nubia, you've got Jason's Idris. I don't think the Shun was there. Oh, he didn't label these all Dragon World.
Just the Odara, 5th place.
What's it called?
Ben Odara, 5th place.
Oh, thanks. Oh no, I can't find it. This is awesome content.
Yeah. Can we get another scrolling stream next time?
I'll find it. Anyway, so you faced it. So, and like Ben is a great player, right? And he's playing this Odara, and he loves Odara and thought everyone was crazy because Odara actually had, a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I can't find it.
By throwing in the Origins cards, he used a lot of Earth damage was kind of his primary focus. He'd use a mix of the Monkey Owl and Rock Crusher. So he'd Earth brand you, and then he'd beat the heck out of you, going for all that extra really quick damage. He flooded the board with those summons.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's actually one of the people who I got to get messed over by with Malefic Impalement.
Yeah, I see that he's running those.
Yeah.
We only got 4.
Whoa, I'm not prepared.
Wow,
I'm not ready for 4 people. Everyone's messing with my stream. One second.
Oh no, I'm off the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Don't.
I'm sorry for messing things up.
Don't go off the edge.
No, it's fun. As Will figures out, yeah, because I was that was one of, I think, like second round, third round was commentating. I don't know if it was yours, but I was kind of thinking about it, like with the summons that you got, as well as the one, like just the movement that they can have. Odara, it's not kind of a bad idea. Like at the cost of 2 health for them, being able to hit you for like 5, 6 from halfway across the board, not the worst trade-off.
Mm-hmm.
No, I never thought Odara was. It was always the stats that made her lacking in competitive, right? She had too low health, too low aura. Most decks you could build, it's just easier with Idris, but a good player running Odara definitely changed things up, shake it up quite a bit.
I mean, if you can't get to Odara, because you got to get through 2, 3 Rock Crushers.
And even with that, he managed to add a bunch of healing with the Hearty Soup, which is just good soup, solid card. And Sunrise Fox. He managed to make up for most of the limitations of Odara.
Yeah, so we got the list up here in the corner. So we have 28 summons overall. That means he's got 22 non-summon cards, which is a pretty good mix for a summoner. He is running the Breath of Jalaras to try to beef up his summons. He's got a couple mutes, some Formosans, some of the Rock Crushers, Sunrise Fox, Earthmane Lions, and then the Olgi Kakoris. So definitely an Earth theme, looks like it. I know most of those can withstand a spur, like other than the Foxes and the Lions, but the Mute I think is great because it's not going to get wiped out by area effect. Rock Crusher has a decent amount of health. Yes, he ran the OKs. Both Alex and I were like, wait, what? Someone's running this? But I think he is working on the Earth theme there. So
Mhm.
Those become really annoying if you have to like a little hit them, right? If you can't kill them in one blow, then they become really annoying. So I can see that, especially if you're running breaths and you're able to heal them up at the last moment. I mean, we saw that kind of that same strategy run in the early days with the Rage Gorilla at first, where it was like air shield, right? You come and hit it for 6, they're air shield, and it gets counterattack, and that was really annoying.
he's running the
Let me
soups. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask, just because it feels like Elements was a much bigger, is like a much bigger thing in this set. Because I saw him in the past, like I love the idea of like you could 20, up your damage output like 25, 33% in some cases with things like Water Pillar and the brands, but they just never really made much of an impact. Does Origins help that a little bit, or is this still kind of niche? Or maybe it's just better because the board movement is a little bit more vibrant? Is this just kind of Will, what do you think? Is this like a one-off, it's not really going to mean much, it's cute once in a while, or Elements a thing now?
So I think, well, Elements were sort of not really honed into one color beforehand, right? But Origins is definitely element heavy because every color has their defined element. We have Thymos Earth, right? Air in Bellum, water in Axon, electric in Phage, and fire in Chaos, right? So, and with that, we got a summon to fill in all the chi spots. So yes, I think elements are viable to play because you have the options at every slot. Some slots are better, right? Some summons are better than others, but you can run that. We saw that very effectively. Even Jason,
I'm a fan, so
Jason ran basically a fire deck, right? He had the Lava Riders. He had the Slum Rats, as it threw you off there. I watched your stream. Slum Rat, what does this do? But
I think a big thing that we saw before was when you had an element deck, and there weren't many, but you did have the occasional like holy deck that came about, or you'd have the occasional fire deck. Not fire. Was it fire?
Technically,
fire
amount of
Idris,
fire
right?
because Idris.
Yeah.
So it was, those decks were the fundamentals were around the pillars. If you didn't get the pillar, the deck was hurt so much.
Right.
Now how it works is you got the theme, and if you find your brand or you find your pillar, your deck gets the benefit. It gets stronger, but it's not useless without those things. That was a big shift. Is like even the fire decks. If you don't grab that Lava Rider, you don't get the fire pillar. Your deck's still good. It just becomes better if you get those other elements.
Yeah, I mean, think of it like a Brook is still probably the best summon at 7G, and yes, it does fire damage, right? But you would still run a Brook even if you didn't care about the fire damage. But yeah, I think this deck is really interesting. I mean, hey, Odara made top 8. We can now officially say that Odara has made top 8.
Is there a champion now that hasn't made top 8?
Minot. Sorry, Ian.
Working on it. Wait, you're saying that Erica made top 8?
I think Erica has
out of a tournament with more than 8 people.
No. I played a lot of Erica, but I never played Erica in the circuit.
In the chat, did Kendra ever make top 8?
No.
So there's still a few.
Yeah.
There's still. All right.
So back on the top of fire pillars, because the Idris, there was the Idris fire chasms, which I thought the strategy was intentional, and it wasn't. It was just I just want to hit you for 6 and screw your board. But if anything, it inspired me because the chasms screw so much of the board up that it creates a box.
Yeah.
So it's either going to be on one side of the box, you're going to be the other side of the box. But no matter what, like the fire pillars become a problem because you can't escape them anymore. I thought it was like, that might be a fun way to do it. Like even just use the chasms and you use those types of things to just create a create a little vacuum of garbage. Might be something to play with.
Yes, Oni doesn't count, JC.
Why not?
JC and his Oni.
So yeah, so speaking of, so just to kind of show off, because Jason's in the chat, Jason's deck was like we were mentioning with the Lava Riders, making sure that all of this is on the screen. Oh no, just to squish it, make it a little smaller. There we go. So he was running the impalements, right? Big card, very important card. He had 7 Brooks, 5 Meteorites, 3 Volleys, Lava Riders, Slum Rats, Infernal Ghouls at 11 Infernal Ghouls. Wow, that's a lot of Infernal Ghouls. He was definitely pushing the damage, and which we saw. It helped him out for sure. And very little invasion. Oh man, I wish I had known. So, but it's just one of those things. Idris has a lot of power coming off her card alone, and the summons that he utilized needed to be answered, right? Like when I saw that Lava Rider come down with 5 health, I knew that if I took 3 from it, I was going to be taking 3 from a fireball plus whatever else fire damage he had, right? So it wasn't just the 3 damage I was worried about. It was the 3 plus whatever else came at me, right? So,
and the new generation of branders, a lot of them have a unique awareness that makes it that you can't just go and punch them. You actually have to fight through a wall because they're shooting over whatever the resources are. It's a very different field. It's not like the Mizu days.
No.
That kind of just...
But we had we had a mix of old and new, and we saw a lot of different decks for sure. And it was
nice.
Yeah, it was a great tournament. Joey, how was the commentating? Did you enjoy it?
I did. It took I popped in like the middle of round 2 because wife was like, I need a mental health day, so I'm just gonna vibe. I'm like, yep, I'm gonna do commentary. Let's try it out. When I went to Washington and I was like, it was the final match was literally the only time I got to just watch a game. Because I was running around so much over at Lost Star doing other things. And like I was kind of putting it all in my head. I was like, with as bonkers as that was, I was like, I am like running a script in my head of just like, and it just sounded so cool of what commentary would have looked like for that game. So I was like, I want to see what that would sound like. So yeah, so I just randomly popped up the OBS, got in around kind of round 2, mid round 2. That's not easy. Genesis is a very difficult game to commentate. And I kind of learned that right out of the gate because you're not just dealing with the hands, you're also like the board state is always a thing. And then you kind of you have to deal with the players where sometimes it's just the two staring at each other. Like, am I going to respond to the stat?
There is some dead air.
Am I going to bolt shots? Am I going to move out of the way? And then other times within like 5 seconds, 6 things on the boards have decided just attack. Like,
yeah.
All right, how do I say what happened? So it took a little bit of time to kind of get into a groove. I think by about round 4, I was starting to get a little bit on, I was starting to get a little more of an understanding of it. Starting to figure out the opportunities to kind of sneak in strategy. I think it'd be a heck of a lot better, which I know this is the norm. It will be the case over at Toronto as well. To like have the deck lists in advance, know what's coming, know the things that I can see, know like what can they actually do. That'd be pretty cool. It'll also be great to have a second. Like this is a game that desperately needs a color analyst. So when commentating the play-by-play guy, this is the card that was played, and then you've got a color analyst that's like impacted the card on the game, strategy. They're the ones who are like throwing stats at you of notoriously this matchup is this, which is gonna be really fun to put together. Not sarcastic. I'm actually excited for it.
Nice.
Can we start expecting sports cards for all the Genesis tournament players?
Sure. No.
Wait, aren't you the one working on Geo? I got some feature requests.
Oh no.
Oh man. By the time we got to the end of it, kind of watching Will, like your game was one bonkers because you took like 16 damage in the corner for tsunami. I'm like, how do I not feel bad? Like, how do I try to stay subjective? And I very clearly wasn't. I'm like, I don't care. This isn't officially HGC. But things I learned, one, commentary done right for this game is going to be mind-blowing. It's going to be so much fun. And I think it's going to be one of those things like the thing that makes Genesis really unique from a commentary perspective is even the viewers know what can happen. Usually when you're doing commentary, you're very reactive of like, we don't really know what's in the hand, what's he going to play. And all you're kind of talking about is speculation. But with Genesis, because you have the summons, you have the board states, even if nothing happens, you can talk a heck of a lot about what's out there. As well as all the viewers can look at that and be like, hey, I can react and I can see that too. And I think that's what makes Genesis so much fun to watch. And then two, it's so much fun to watch. It really is fun. Like I was kind of scrolling through and I was actually seeing like cards moving around and all that.
I think once you know like what the card's doing, right? Like once you know, okay, a summon, is sort of oriented this, up and down this way, right? If you come in and you look at a board, it's just like, I know watching chess isn't exciting, but you can watch pieces move and you can understand what that means, right? Oh, that has moved up. It can attack now, or it's rotated, which means it can get attacked from the side, right? I think one of the things that you definitely mentioned a few times on your stream was like, not sure what cards could be in the hand, not sure what cards would, because of, couldn't quite see what's happening, right? I think something like having like hand cameras and stuff like that would allow that second commentator to be like, well, he's got 2 Baruchs in hand. If he steps up into this position, he could drop one here, which could attack this turn, right? Providing some of that, strategy from a outside perspective, and then having someone, reflect on what that player actually does. Okay, well, why did they do that, right? So there's a lot of ways you can go.
That's a little bit of a logistics thing too, of like 3 cameras pointed in and all that.
The cameras.
I've been watching some old competitive Magic games and watching the commentating from there. And something that's really interesting. So when you're watching a game like Magic, a lot of it is on board state. There is quite a bit of interaction in the game, but not to the same level there is in Genesis. So because with the amount of Swift stuff you got in Genesis, the hand state matters so much. So it's also playing players, right? So if you do watch commentating between Magic, poker, and chess, that's kind of those 3 elements you need to bring together if you want to commentate Genesis. Because when there's a lot of downtime, you can talk about the hypothetical movements you could make, like you were playing a chess game. But then also, it's a lot of playing your opponent, seeing their reactions, understanding what their moves are. And that's kind of like if you watch a really intense game with like Texas Hold'em, like, if you know what's in the hand, you know what the percentages are, what the odds of.
I wonder what he's thinking. With sunglasses. Yeah, no, I do want to watch like a couple of commentaries of kind of like tactical and strategy things. I want to see like maybe some miniatures matchups. I might even do, find like long form chess, maybe not so much, just because it's kind of a little bit too much in analysis and not much going on. And it's like, this is Bob and this is history. And now, God, there's just the chess controversy anyway. That's a thing.
There's controversy everywhere, right? Like look at today. We got
cheating
$1,000
via
proxies.
anal beads.
Yes,
cheating via anal beads. Have fun with that one. Hi, kids. So I might try to fly like a blitz tournament or a bug house tournament or something like that. I do know that for Toronto, one of the requirements that I'm going to have, Assad, is we need to at least pull the camera back enough so I can see the deck.
Yeah.
Like you had a game where you actually, I think you decked in one of the games, and I was like trying to count up the cards from your opponents. I was like, there's no way he's got more than like 2 cards in the deck. And then suddenly you're like, I'm out. I'm like,
yeah. Couldn't dodge the Psychic Blast and the Fatigue. I had exactly 3 cards left at the top of my deck. So the Fatigue hit me exact. And I was like,
oh no.
hey, that's the way it happens.
Fatigue's not viable. Not
Not
So-
all in Fatigue is not viable.
One of the things is like not a lot of venues and not a lot of spaces are really set up to stream a game quite like Genesis, where you need a camera at that position
Yep.
to see so much. However, I'm happy with the capabilities of Waves. They are an esports hall. They have a lot of really great cameras and lighting, and they already have in their mind like how we can do this.
Nice.
So and also having the footage from last year's championship and being like, this is what we did last year. This is what didn't go as well as we were hoping. Where can we improve? So they've got a lot of ideas. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Yeah. So just for something for everybody out there, just because this might lead to some just fun ideas and things that I ask for regarding kind of Waves, is we've got like a team that's really helping the daylights out of us as far as like setup and logistics, but that also includes like graphics and videos. So if you've got like, as part of like commentary, there's always like filler footage, and I don't want it to just be, we'll be right back. For anybody who's watched Flesh and Blood's Callings, they have like a rotation. It's like a 15-20 minute rotation, like little minutes videos and things here and there. So I'm looking forward to like doing some filler footage. And it might be like a neat little community project. I have a couple of fun community projects for this. And things I really want to say.
You just need some Jalera advertising, right? Like a good old Hearty soup commercial, or some, I don't know.
Oh man!
Considerations.
All right. Hey. What do we? 9 people plus this little community. All right. Here's a little challenge for you. Let's do a challenge. And depending on how good it is, and if it's PC, let's make me some fake Genesis commercials.
There we go.
Galarian soup.
There
This
we go.
hearty
Yeah.
soup will be sure to give you extra strength.
Hey, mine's
Tough
Jalarian
day.
soup.
Ah,
We can choose something else. We need some sort of insurance company for Jalera.
gargantuan
Somebody do like
may
a
drop through your house anytime.
somebody do like a bunny pet shop that progressively
There you
gets
go.
worse as you get to the
If you
gargantuan
get to the
rabbit.
Gargantuan
Oh,
rabbits.
yeah.
We don't have space for these. All right, I have a couple of
Depending on how they are, I would
comments.
absolutely run that in my rotation. That'd be
Nice.
so much fun.
So we had a comment here that I want to touch on, because this is something that Alex and I have just boggles
Bottled
our
waters.
mind. But so the person, I won't say the name, but the person says basically 6 or 7 evasion cards is overkill. It takes away from drawing your win cons. So
Oh, evasion cards. I was
evasion
like,
cards.
they don't know invasion
I'm not
cards.
talking about invasion.
Not invasion
Joey.
cards. No, evasion. So Alex and I have always questioned why people don't run more defenses or evasion. And now I think we have sort of a perspective there, is that evasion is not helping you win the game. But
Not losing is a
not
good way to
losing,
win.
right?
Yeah. It also depends on, is your win condition the champion or not? So in decks like Idris or Tashir, where you're champion, if you draw an evasive card, which keeps you alive and puts you in a good position, that allows you to do your attack later on, that's just as powerful as doing something that gets you that attack. It depends on the champion, and it also depends on your comfort level with those basic cards. Not everyone was comfortable running something like I don't know. These are old school, but like dodge and smoke bomb. In the like they didn't see a lot of play, and for good reasons. But the people using them at the right time, the right moment, capitalized on some pretty aggressive moves. So again, like. Yeah, staying alive is important. People don't prioritize that enough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess on the other side of that though, like evasion doesn't always mean evasion. Evasion means moving into a better position
Right.
for XYZ reason. So I don't necessarily know why it has to be just trapped under this banner of evasion, where sometimes it can be like, I'm gonna set up myself in a spot that might not be optimal, give you a false sense of security that I'm not able to get anywhere. And then surprise. And if you need proof of that, take a look at this. Anybody who's played the starter decks and watched Mallet, went Raha and watched Mallet go leap Inferno Pit, Rampage Toss. That happened to me and it sucked. I hated it. But like, just, you might not see, that's not an evasion card because it's a swift, but it's the same concept of it's a movement card that gets you into a position you wouldn't normally be in.
I think as the card pool develops, we'll see cards that just shine that are both, right? So case in point, Warp Strike just replaces Sidestep for me because it does the same thing. It allows me to get out of the attack unless it's far away, but it allows me to get out of the attack and I can maybe do an additional damage. Or things like Knockback and Rampage Toss. Those are great cards that you can do a little bit of chip damage, but still use things. My other point is that I think people have been getting away with just dealing damage all the time because nobody's running the evasion. I think it's just one of those things. Everything's just tilted to the attack side, and those all-out attack decks could falter if people just ran Protected by Faiths, Holy Walls.
That's the case with every. It's so funny thinking that Origins has that similar problem. Every time there's a new set of any game, where does the meta go? Aggro.
Yeah.
All aggro all the time. And then they complain and whine and say that things need to get banned. And then some jackass figures out that control doesn't suck. And suddenly the meta's in a better place. And it's almost funny to think like Origins has a semi-similar problem.
Yeah. Alex and I have talked about that quite a bit. Like, it's so much easier to gravitate towards aggressive cards because when your back's against the wall, the easiest thing to do is just punch your opponent in the face. Like, just keep on punching, right?
Go away.
But it's much harder to be like, okay, let's run the evasive cards. Let's take a step back, recalibrate, and play the long game, right? Be around for 3, 5, 8 more rounds compared to let's just kill each other right now and see who lives, right?
I'm reminded of Best Marmot in Card Tavern, who had kind of a similar situation where he was just like, I'm so behind, I'm so poorly positioned, I'm so out of this thing, and like crawled back. And I think even that was a game, Assad, where you were looking, it's like he had the win condition, he just didn't know it because he was so defeated.
Yeah. That does happen quite a bit.
Unga Bunga. There needs to be a card named Unga Bunga.
And I mean, Sid is definitely one of the players that I know that plays evasion really well, right? Where it's almost like I'll evade you and just watch your deck go down while you try to attack me, and then capitalize on that low deck count, right?
I thought you were talking about his slack and that he's hard to reach. Kidding.
He's a busy guy. What the other comment I was going to make was I forget it now. It's gone. It's out of my brain.
I've ruined it. Killed it.
I was at when I was at Compy Sports. We were talking about it was either Compy Sports or Yoda Zeta, and we were talking about how when you call time and you go into rounds, at the end of rounds, you can't clearly define who wins. You can't just say who has the lower health, who has less cards in the deck. No, you gotta just watch that game. Because I have won so many games just being at 1 health. And it's about positioning, it's playing your opponent, not just the cards on the board, and having those right moves at the right time to just swipe in for 3 if you're playing Rain, because I'm playing Rain a lot. So making those little movements and lasting long enough that you see your opponent's timeline evaporate, or you just can keep on hitting for the 3 and not being touched yourself. Those are valid win conditions.
I remember my thought. I think there's times where you lose a game or you win a game with a defensive card in hand, and there's like this psychological thing where it's like, oh, I never used that, so I don't need it.
Yeah.
Right? It was a dead card in my hand.
That's fair. Like, oh, if this were just low blow, let's just swap it. This were low blow. If this were tsunami.
Something else, right? Yeah.
And that's definitely a psychological gimmick there. Of it could be anything.
Kenny's working on Geo. Leave him alone. He's busy.
I'm a little bit quiet here because I'm out of my depth. I am not a person who looks at cards and analyzes them. I look at a card and I'm like, that could be fun. Let's throw 5 of them in.
Hey, and Genesis accepts you as well, because it's a lot of fun just to play casually as well. We had some more comments here.
You feel ecstatic when your initial hand is half or more of defensive cards. Depends on what I want to. For me, it depends on what I want to do. Like my Minnote deck would love to see half or more defensive cards because I'm baiting you anyway. But like if I'm going aggro, sucks.
I will say
it's not just defensive; it's a variety too. Like I played a game where I had an opening hand of 3 or 5 Chrono Walkers. I'm like, I've lost this game, hands up. But in other games, if I have like backstab, Chrono Walker, sidestep, warp strike, and Oten, then I have a good variety of options of what I need to do. And it makes my opponent. It makes it that I'm not predictable anymore. So
Let me. All right, I'm gonna add to that though, because you know things like Chrono Walker, sidestep, backstep. By definition, from Chrono Walker, you don't have a variety of options. What you have though is a variety of payment methods. Like Chrono Walker is a chunky sidestep that takes longer and costs more. you still sidestep.
Well, you can forward step and backward step. However, it also gives you that really strong summon. I know I've used Chrono Walker just to get a summon, because even as a summon alone, it's still close to worth that cost.
I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to get into Acid's head of 6 Chrono Walkers versus 3 and 3 like sidesteps.
So 6 Chrono Walkers, when you start with 90 aura and you're playing Rain, that hurts. Because so there is a variety in cost options, but it also, when your opponent knows what your moves are, it makes it a lot harder for you to manipulate the board state or manipulate what your opponent's going to do to you. They're like, yeah, it's just gonna Chrono Walker out of this, right? So, and then backstep gives you the variety of 2 spots back instead of just the 1. And
backstep, I can't believe more people don't play backstep.
Yeah, that's good card. And warp strike also gives you the option to, like the amount of movement you can get off of it. It's crazy. Plus getting the 3 damage right off the bat.
Yeah, I remember when I came home from Washington after watching the tourney, I was like, how in the world do you really? Or no, I was at the hotel. I was like watching the rope tornadoes just go nuts. I'm like, God, that looks like a mess. It looks like a miserable experience. And I just started like analyzing the Origins cards. Like, this is easy. Like, there's a lot of ways to deal with this. And then I saw backstep. I'm like, that's it. We're done.
There you go.
We're finished now.
Yeah.
I think the rope tornado deck hit at the right time, right? It was coming off of J2 just as Origins was starting. Kun was definitely the top deck at that time. The rope tornado just works perfectly into that strategy, and it's a great.
I haven't been able, because we didn't have them all streamed. I didn't get a chance to kind of see all of the circuits that we had. Was there anything like a duplicate, triplicate meta? Like we had Asher Tigers, Rope Tornado. This was your Nubia. Like it was really varied.
The only I'd say the Ontario circuits are very similar. So the Dragon World circuit and the Anime North circuit were very similar, because Nubia and Idris were definitely the top of those ones, and there were some Kuns at the Anime North, and then the other groups seem to have a much higher Origins play base, where because again Origins may have been more readily available, and the only circuit that we had before Origins, I think, was Origins. Sorry, that was a confusing sentence. Was the Origins Game Fair?
Anime North was before.
Yeah, Anime North was before, because they did the box break there, the sealed draft.
Yeah.
So the Origins Game Fair circuit was. It had a whole bunch of people who were long-term players, because they had a lot of the original products. So
as we kind of predicted, Origins, the set brought in all the new players, and since that set came out, we've seen the massive growth in the amount of people playing at the circuits, right?
Yeah, no, it's been great. Will, let me ask you guys, because it was a question. I've had the question a couple of times. Now that you're seeing more Origins, Will, your deck was very much it was very much an evolution of a time-tested Jalaran deck. Maybe, and then you dropped in a little bit of Origins. You guys watched meta. You guys watched the Tasher deck. You guys watched, these very Origins heavy things come in. How much did you have to deal with this? Is it something you're looking at? It's like, man, when that gets refined, I might need to make some major changes to my J2 stuff. How does Origins realistically integrate with what that Ontario crowd has spent so much time practicing with?
that's the big question right now, right? It's are those Origins champions and those decks that were showcased, are they actually that good and actually that like, or do we need to be worried about them, or is something like the tried and tested, Iblis, Idris and Nubia decks, can they handle it? And I don't actually know the answer to that question.
Did you like when Tasher Tigers won in Germany? Did you take this deck and run it against Tasher Tigers?
Yes.
How'd it fare?
Destroyed them.
Okay.
So basically the Nubia deck in my mind is the closest we've ever had to a tier 0 deck. Now I would say that my showcasing of it was definitely me overthinking this deck a little bit because I sideboarded way too many times. I learned very quickly and upon rewatching that I don't need to sideboard when my opponent's at 25 health. I just have to trust my deck. I only need to sideboard when it's Iblis, Malik, and Long. Those are the only 3 times I actually need to do sideboarding for, because every other game that I didn't sideboard, I always had to kill. Now, I would say I faced, because of the Origin champions' health are a lot lower than some of the older ones, this deck actually has a chance of being very viable because a lot of my opponents were 20 to 24 health, and I'm opening my hand with 20 damage. So I only need to get 4 more down. So one of the things...
I know a lot of those were in your face, too.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's fine. You come to me, I don't have to go to you. The only thing that's different is, and sort of just because you were making the comment, just to sort of get into my headspace, was the reason I played my Cabbases early is for the turn advantage. I was forcing my opponent to move and make their turn so that I could then capitalize and either wipe out their board or position myself better for the next turn.
How does not having a Cabbas do that? How does not having a Cabbas give a different reaction?
So if I'm going first, I have to do my move and play as my champion, and then my opponent can capitalize on my movement. But if I play the Cabbas on turn 1, I can move the Cabbas into a safe position, forcing them to make their move. Right? So I normally did it, most of the time I did it every time they didn't have, if I'm going second or first, I do it just to have that extra turn so that next round I have 2 turns to their 1.
That's crafty. I like that. Like, right? It's turn manipulation, essentially.
Exactly. And then the Chrono Walkers against Idris is the only way to actually force her to burn out her aura fast enough. So early Chrono Walker to the Fireball gives you both the turn advantage the next round, and you don't take any damage.
One of the things I remember I was kind of commenting, and I saw as a general, I saw it as a trend because I felt this is what you're trying to do, and I'm curious if I was right on this, because it felt like you were on top of dodging stuff. It felt like you were literally using the Chrono Walkers to just move, to just get closer, so that way you can vomit into her, as opposed to wasting 2-3 moves just inching your way in. So, was I kind of right on that strategy? Because it worked. It was cool.
Most of my deck is Swift, so I can double move if I need to when I want to. But the other part is I just needed, sometimes the Tsunamis is the best play. And to capitalize on Tsunami, you need to be in that right position, right? So utilizing a Chrono Walker to step up, or, maybe I move, rotate, and then Chrono Walker into my main phase, and then do a Tsunami, allows you to take care of that board control. The one thing I have already adjusted from the championship deck is going up to 8 Chronos.
What's coming out?
Right. So what I ran was 6. I think I can get that to 8 and still be good. But yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
I'm sorting cards right now, so that's the thing. But so I've learned this. So those of you watching who like also kind of follow, like, may this be with you and George and whatnot. One of the common criticisms is like deck building is really difficult. You know how deck building isn't difficult? Sort your damn cards. It's actually like I sorted them to they're all together, and then I did it by affiliation. It was really easy to just be like, for some reason, I think it's just a mental thing of holding 10 of the same, as thinking of, I'm going to hold one of these cards, and like, how many of this card do I want? versus holding like 7 of them and be like, do I need 7? No, and then you cut down. Like it's a mental thing, and it's been really easy to build decks by kind of looking at just them in stats. It was weird.
So is that what you do, Joe? You kind of take a card, how many do I want? Put it, add up the numbers.
So the way I like to build decks is I do a little bit of a knee-jerk run. Like I try in the back of my mind to respect a little bit of, maybe I'll run out of resources or maybe I'll run out of XYZ, but it means I was like, I really like peripheral vision. And I feel like my brain, my gut's telling me I want like 5 of them. And I'm like 6 of this, 4 of this, 3 of this. And I just kind of go and I build. And what I end up with is a deck that is not legal at all. But then I kind of look and say, all right, from what I have, are kind of the synergies there. I've started to learn that Genesis isn't just about what's my win condition, at least the way I'm thinking about it. I'm also thinking about is like, how do I want to exist on the board? Like for Will, you want to exist on the board, being able to kind of dance and move without needing to use your movements. That's how your Nubia was existing on the board. Mimanote wants to exist on the board as a false sense of security. So do the things that I have lure you into a false sense of security, and do I have a way to get out of it? That's the peripherals and the ice walls and the temporal relocations and nice. the all that crap. Does that exist on the board? Does it work? And is there a win condition based off of that? Nice. If there is, then I start kind of cutting away or adding as needed the stuff that kind of either enhances or feels a little bit too much. So and then I just do some kind of like sample hands.
Yeah. So you
I'll draw 6 cards,
and then you come back down to kind of when you sort of.
So I'm very much like a seesaw.
Yeah.
With it, but I like seeing kind of everything that I would love to do.
Yeah.
And Kenny? Then kind of break it down.
What do you do, Kenny?
For me, I usually kind of look at decks that I normally play because I like to stick around the same styles usually. So I look at a deck and I look at a champion that I want to play or cards that I know are fun. And I'll see what I can swap out evenly. And then I'll see what might work with those. And I start throwing them in. And again, like Joey, I kind of seesaw way the hell over the chi. And I'm like, crap. So I come all the way back down, just really trying to make sure that I'm keeping in those cards I'm going to have the most fun with. There's maybe a method to the madness, but mostly it's madness.
I think that's what you need to do with Genesis is start with the madness and figure out the method later. Because it's not like other games where the way you build the deck can be just so efficient and it's fine because that's the only thing you have to worry about. You've got a method on the board. So your hands can be madness. Like we saw that with Chris in Washington. The deck was madness. But the method that he used on the board to kind of get around like the rope tornadoes and all that stuff, kind of with Tim, learning in game 2 to stay back, learning in game 3 to spread all the summons out. Like that was his method. The deck list is like 30 different cards. And I think that's okay. And I think that's cool. And that's another unique Genesis thing.
Yeah. And his deck build was definitely something that got me thinking, is there maybe this, zoo archetype where you don't run 12 of a summon, you run 12 different summons, right?
Is there value to that, to spreading it out instead of having, we usually see decks with maybe 8 or 10 cards spread, and that's it. That's the whole variance. Is there value to having double that or even triple?
Yeah.
I would argue yes. My argument to that is, especially looking at some of the summons that exist, that really, despite them having extra effects, most of the time it's just getting 3 damage and 4 damage in. Sometimes it's from a range. If I can do that 3 damage, 4 damage, but with different cards that give me versatility and to be able to, the ability to kind of respond to the board, if I can have something that can swing from the side or, as opposed to just 2 in front, I don't mind having more.
On the, as an opposition to that though, that also makes it a lot more of a gamble. Am I going to pull something that is going to allow me to have a solution to this scenario? Whereas if you have a lot more condensed of a deck, you can't guarantee it, but you can have a general idea of what you might pull. I typically count cards. I'm terrible for it. So I'm sitting there planning, okay, my next card is either this or this. There is no way I'm going to get this.
Right.
I'd have to say it's more of a gamble doing it that way when you don't have the variety, because then you're going to say that your deck of 8 or 9 unique cards, right, can cover all the spectrum of decks you're going to be facing, compared to having a deck that has a lot of variety, and at least I have a chance. I have a chance of pulling out that meteorite when I need it, or pulling out the I don't know, the mystical protection when I need it, right? Having them in your deck at least gives you a chance of pulling them. Where if you just streamline to your core strategy, like we saw with the Reign Decay, which when the deck couldn't do what it wanted to do, it just did nothing.
It did nothing. Yeah.
That being said, Kenny, to you, no matter what, more versatility, more variety means it's a much more difficult pilot. Just period. That's the trade-off. Is now you are reacting. Now you are existing on the board where maybe you do have a lot more aggro in your deck, but you don't have that. You've got the tricks to survive. You kind of got to wait that one out. You've got to play your champion differently.
Yes,
and I think
a
that's
very
the
different play style. Sid, have you changed how you deck build? Or are you still by and you're sort of by, not really by tens, but you're do you ascribe to your brother's balance idea?
I don't know what his balance idea is.
So it's the idea that every time you put a card in, you're always balancing the last card in, right? So like you kind of
like 7 gets a 3, 6 gets 4.
Yeah. I tend to do that. A lot of my deck building usually comes from weeks or months of planning an idea out, knowing what my core is. So for a long time, I wanted to play Rain, but I didn't want to play Reign Decay. What are different options?
What are the options?
And then Warp came out. And it's like, okay, how can I play Rain Warp? And then I went back to an old strategy, which was Rain Evasive.
Right.
And so I have my core idea. And then I start off by having a bunch of little pieces of the puzzle, testing them out, figure out which ones I like, and then I iterate on the deck.
Right.
So I start off with a lot of variety and then kind of streamline it into the pieces that work the best.
I like this question. I'm curious because you guys have all built many more decks than me. Hot dogs, base card, build around the bomb, build around the win condition card. Is that something you guys is that easier, harder? Does that just not work?
I mean, the Idris monster deck came out of people saying Primordial Force is unplayable. So I built an entire deck around that.
Wait, which?
Primordial Force. It was the HE for Vashud. And it is essentially unplayable. What made the deck useful at all was Malicious Persuasion. And that just came out of the fact that it's like you can replace Primordial Force with any HE summon. The deck worked well. But sometimes I do that, but very rarely. I know Alex built the Tsunami deck that way, being like the Tsunami is just the bomb. You just need to run as many of those. We had the Meteorite deck come out that way. Bolt Shot deck came out that way. But traditionally, I don't do it that way. No.
I'm gonna relook up Primordial Force just because it's not a
35 or 8 health does 6 damage to a target. 7 damage to a target. Dark
up
damage.
up left right. Yeah. 35.
And it has Holy Weakness.
And it's Holy Weakness.
And it comes in exerted, so it just gets piled on once it drops. So.
Yes. Yeah.
Was this made back in the days when the Retribution had chaos, just murdered? I read it was. I don't have the poster.
So I change up my deck building strategies. I depending on what I'm doing. Sometimes it's a specific card. Like if I'm playing like a fun deck, or if I'm building for an event, then I will build around a card. But I've also gotten to the point where I just use the same numbers, and it tends to line up, and then I tweak very minimally, right? Like I know that my ratios are usually 4, 6, 8, and then I start with those ratios, the cards that I want, and then I can go up and down those numbers depending on what I need to or what chi I have left. So I normally, when I build, I actually end up being less on the chi, and then I slide up and I can maneuver. That's sort of how this one was built.
Jealous. I don't think I've ever built a deck where I started with not enough cards. I'm also really bad. Like I used to play Netrunner, which was like 45 cards. You can have as many as you want. And I have like 83. This deck would be this big. It's supposed to be this big. I gotta cut it down. Just take up an entire miniatures table. I'm like, Joe built a deck again.
All right. So do we have any announcements since we have both of you? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Kenny. We have 3 Haunted Castle Gaming employees in this chat tonight. Any announcements? Anything? Like I know we had the big Days of Beckoning announcement, the promos. We went over the promos. They look super sweet.
Did you see Yoda's dated box opening?
I haven't watched that yet.
I was gonna go do something.
Oh, he's looking for something.
Was there I think it was your post or something that it implied that there may have been one of the new promos in there?
Yeah, so the 50 promos. So before the set, before we get the set printed, we were like, hey, we've got slots for promos and what do we want to do with them? And that's kind of how, we had the stuff we wanted to do, like even in the next 3 months done like 2-3 months in advance, 2-3 months ago. So like, what are the promos we're going to do? What are we going to assign them to? We assigned them to a slot, all that stuff. And I think I got 52 slots. I forgot what Assad gave me. I was like, what would I do with 52 slots of promos, knowing I'm getting X number? So I came up with a whole bunch of ideas. I'm like, cool, we're gonna make those. And then I was like, we've got a half a sheet of paper. I'm like, I'm gonna make a poster. And we move the stuff to the poster, and the spin around of this is all of my ideas, all of my promos are the ones in the booster packs, like all of them. So I was watching Henning's video. And I see him pull, one of the promos. I'm like, oh my God, that's like, it's gorgeous. Holy crap. When you see it.
He didn't pull one of the promos.
You pulled the Lava Rider.
That's the box topper. That's
topper.
not one of the promos.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's still the same looking thing.
Yeah.
It's still gorgeous is what
They are
matters.
very nice.
The other promos are going to look like it.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, that's,
Oh.
Wow.
Awesome talk. Actually, it doesn't matter. We're just seeing
Is that in the? Oh, that's one of the championship. Champion ones.
No. That's the
That's a store promo, right?
Pack.
The booster pack ones. Wow.
Yeah,
This is one of the 50 that got mixed in.
Wow.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the community champion, store champion promo. So the program being like stores could reach out to us and say, hey, this person has been a huge influence in the community and has been a very positive force. We wanted to give them something special.
Right.
And that's what that was going to be.
Cool.
Even that, I see the full art, borderless, gorgeous things. And I'm like, that's pretty. And I know a bunch of the other promos do it. And those are mine. I could have done with them. And I'm like, I'm happy you're happy. Happy you're happy.
Steve was asking, is the promos for prizing, is it only the promos prizing for the championship? So I think the promos are just for placing. I think there's still other prizing to be announced.
Yeah, there's a lot to be announced.
There's a lot to be announced.
Yeah, there'll be articles coming out soon, updates coming up soon. One habit that I did get a little bit better with was writing up small little posts during the whole Kickstarter campaign. And that's something that I'm going to try committing to on a more regular basis. So hopefully we'll get more communication out there. You'll get more updates on a regular basis. But for now, the promos that we showed were just the coming to the event, participating in the championship, top 16 and top 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've also restarted your Assad Talks at a Red Light for 15 minutes on Patreon. Recordings.
Yeah.
So you got to check out the Patreon and then send those things to local game stores.
We have
So you get more stuff.
We have newbie nights going on still for anyone new in the community or want to get a game in. You can always ask at any time, but there are judges around Saturday nights for newbie night.
I do want to quickly on that note shout out the mods, shout out Shahan and Kenny. I think part of the conversation as well of trying to come up with ideas to make.
I'm not mod anymore.
Fun.
Oh, you're off the mod.
Oh, yeah, I'm HCG now.
I'm in the mod.
Upgrade.
No, really not. But no, like big props to. I mean, you were at the time of like trying to come up with ideas like how do we make newbie nights really special. With everything going on, I haven't had a chance to really tap into that, but some of the ideas were like, kind of doing, hey, show up in newbie nights and maybe we can kind of ship you an open house kit and use it as an onboarding strategy. That's something that a lot of any card game even struggles with, of play in TTS. That doesn't mean anybody's going to show anybody else or go into a store. I think Shahan kind of came up and inspired that idea of like, how do we take that newbie night and actually turn it into, we'd love to send you something physical to play with and encourage and entice that a little bit. So I'm gonna try some stuff.
Yeah, and on that note, we have they're doing their Chrono Walker stream. They've been putting out a decent amount of videos.
Go subscribe.
So they're definitely subscribed to them and shout out to them. We have Heads or Tails on Thursday nights. I think they're doing another box opening. I think I was invited to do that one, so we're hoping for some promos, and hopefully I can steal those promos.
People would never like you.
Not a chance. He'll call
I can
in,
always try, but I know
like
the
a
answer would be no.
away from this promo.
And then I guess it'll be all steam ahead for the championship, right? Plan, do, announce, because we're a month and a half.
We've got our little crew that's going to help us push a couple things out. Man, we've got some stuff. Yesterday was a real good day. Yesterday I was losing my mind yesterday, so I was really happy with things.
Yeah, this is a fun. And I guess I assume we're going to have 5th anniversary announcements as well. Like that's around the corner too. So
5 years.
5 years.
We're doing this for 5 years. It's crazy.
Has it flown by?
It's weird. In some ways, it definitely has. But like, it was crazy when I was standing in Germany and I took a step back and I was like, 6 years ago, it was just me and 3 of my friends playing in my apartment. No one had heard of this game yet. Like, it was a really strange feeling. And now I was there in Germany watching, 16, 18 people play, and then being in South Carolina, watching over 20 people play and being like, that was larger than that first championship. Like, we had 18 people playing that first championship, and we're like, "This is so big."
Yeah, I remember
that. It's been really crazy, a very different feel, but I think more than anything, it's just the fact that like all these people, everyone who's watching right now, you three, like we didn't know each other 5 years ago. Like that's a crazy thought, and I'm very grateful for that. I've made a lot of good friends, and I'm really happy about that.
And I got an LGS half an hour away who were falling in love with this thing, and I'm so happy. And they ran out of stock, and like while we were talking, I got an order from them.
I did too.
Yes,
that's good. That's all exciting things.
12 people for a learn to play. Fun fact for anybody learn to play though, as we try to wrap up because I'm terrible. Don't teach people how to play by doing Origins Pack Wars.
I believe that was the disclaimer I gave you.
So I showed up to the thing. I showed up like 5-10 minutes late because traffic and life. And then I walk in and they're just doing like Origins Pack Wars. And I see like Wing Delate and tokens and like neither of them had ever played the game. And I'm like, oh God, oh no. And it got to a point where like after like one guy couldn't even finish the game. And I was like, don't try to finish the game. And I know he was like, I don't even think I want to play again. I was like, can I try again with you in a little bit of a better setting?
Different, yeah.
So I kind of worked on the pitch with the people, like here's kind of how I educate the game. Here's how I sneak the rules in a little bit. Assad helped me out over at Gamma actually as like, when does he get people at the table? Which is basically after like the 3rd basic rule, like then you start moving things. And once they cracked that, I literally was getting messages today from them. I was like, this is the easiest game that we have in our arsenal to learn the basics of.
Wow.
Which I'm like, one, bull, but I'm going to take it. It's all about how you train it. So, which we're going to play with. I'm going to do some little 1-minute things. That's my little project for this weekend. Hopefully this end week, I'm going to do what Pokemon did. Pokemon TCG's onboarding website, how to play. Fire.
Right. Yeah, they do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm done.
I think we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks for everyone who joined. Kenny for being here the whole time. And Sid and Joey for jumping in, keeping
Joey
me on
and
my
Assad
toes.
for showing up late.
Keeping me on my toes. I'll have 5 different Zoom options next time just to be prepared. All right, everyone. Hopefully have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll be back on Tuesday. Next week, we're going to talk about sideboarding and all the confusion that we had with that. And hopefully we'll sort out all the confusion for you by doing some live sideboarding and representing how that plays out and what your options are and how you can be strategic about it. So have a great night, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Special thanks to Will. Thank you, sir. Cheers.